Well, shortly after I had my license, I started the Banff Climbing School and ran that for quite a number of years, which was very successful. Yeah. And while all of this was going on, I met Hugh Considine. And this was another funny story because the Wapta Lodge, the Lake O'Hara Lodge, called me and said, "We have a lady here who would like to have a guide for her husband. It's his birthday and he would like to climb Mount Hungabi." Well, I'd never been up Hungabi before, but I went in during the night, and because prior, Moser, Heinz Karl, Leo and all of these guys, we used to shovel the roofs for the lodge and the cabins in Lake O'Hara. Yeah. And for that, if we were guiding, we were allowed to sleep in the woodshed. That was a big concession they made. So I went in there, slept in the woodshed, picked up Hugh, and he was in a business suit. And he had Oxfords on. And I said to him, "Are we going to climb like this?" And he said, "Well, don't you like my suit?" I said, "Well, what about your shoes?" And he says, "Oh, don't worry, they have Vibram soles. By the way, I just got back from Switzerland and climbed the Matterhorn." And I thought, "You did that in a business suit." You know? Oh, yeah. So up we went and down we went, and a few weeks later he called me, "Come to the Palliser in Calgary and we'll have clam chowder soup," because that's all he ever ate. So I went in there and he said, "Look, I want to hire you." I went fishing. And it was a beautiful day in a lovely lake, and there was a lovely mountain behind it. It was very, very nice, all white, and seemed to have two summits, and I'd like to go and climb that. Mm. And I said, "Well, where is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's somewhere in South America." And I said, "Well, where were you?" And he said, "Well, I was here and there and this and that." So finally it turns out he was in Peru. And he had been fishing up in the lake Yanganuco, and in behind is Huascaran. Well, Huascaran is over 6,000 meters, you know. So off we went.
You've never been that high before?
Oh God, I've never been in Peru before. So we had a phenomenal trip, and we climbed both the South and the North Peak, and came back. And I really enjoyed being in Peru, and I wanted to go back very, very badly, you know. And then the guy who actually did the very first winter ascent of the Eiger North Face, Hiebler, Tony Hiebler, he had a thing going around for which is the most beautiful mountain in the world. And it turned out that number one was Alpamayo in Peru, number two was K2, and the number three was Matterhorn. Okay. So I phoned Hugh and I said, "Would you like to go climb the most beautiful mountain in the world?" He said, "Yeah, when can we go?" And I said, "Well, let's go next June." So we cruised all through the ice fields to get into shape. And
had you quit your job?
No. I always was able to take time off. They were very, very, very good to me. Yeah. And they always brought somebody in to cover the period, you know. So we took off to climb Alpamayo, but I took Philip de la Salle along, who worked out phenomenally well. Workhorse, number one. And Steve Herrero, the bear guy, you know, so the four of us climbed Alpamayo, which was marvelous because it was only the 7th ascent ever of Alpamayo. It's really something else. But what happened on Huascaran on our first trip, and that had a major impact on my life, was that the porters were young students from the University of Lima. And those guys had never been in high altitude. We took them up to about 15,000 feet and set up a camp, and it snowed. And it snowed for 3 days steady, and the tents collapsed, and they were scared, and they went down, and they said, well, if we couldn't survive where we were, the others up there are dead. So the newspaper picked it up, and soon CBC had it here in Canada, because it went through the Prensa in Lima to Reuters in New York, and then Canada, CBC. So I was declared dead. The whole party was declared dead. And I phoned after a celebration party, which was pretty hard, especially the following morning, on heads. I phoned at 12 o'clock the Canadian Embassy in Lima and got the ambassador, and I said, whatever they're telling you, I'm alive. And he says, who are you? And I told him, I was half over already. And he said, well, it's very, very good that you phoned me, because I have 2 helicopters sitting here with a crew to leave tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to search for your bodies.
Right.
And I said, well, this must cost an awful lot of money. Who is going to pay for all of this? And he said, oh, I have an open check from a lady in Banff who will pay the entire thing, and her name is Catherine White. Well, she was going to pay for the entire operation. Wow. But I had, you know, Miss Gratz and Catherine White and all of them. I had taken them on many, many trips in the wintertime on the glacier ski mountaineering, and so we were good friends, Peter and Catherine and myself. So anyway, I also phoned the Director General of Parks Canada in Calgary, Don Coombs at the time, and I said to him, look, Don, don't believe anything. I'm alive and well, and I'm coming back, and I would love to compete for Walter Perrin, who had died in the meantime,
for his
position.
Yeah.
And so I got the job. In a funny way, because there was Bert Pittaway there, some personnel guy, and Don Coombs, who was Director General. And Bert Pittaway asked me, can you tell me the difference between a horizontal, a vertical, and a ring piton? And I looked at him and I said, you know, if you guys want somebody who knows about that, why don't you hire somebody from a climbing shop? Yeah. So that set the tone right there. And I said, the only thing I'm interested in is, you know, when you go to Munich, if you go to Frankfurt, and you go to train stations all over the world, you see Moraine Lake and the 10 Peaks, and you see Victoria and all of this sort of stuff. In years, very, very quickly we'll see huge numbers of people coming here who want to go and climb in the Canadian Rockies. And what you need is a major, renovated, new, good rescue organization. Not somebody who fiddles around with pitons and so. So they gave me the job anyway.